Ahisha, Tasha, Inta Contarcha agus Gar Rerka, Jerry Hurlish and Glas Trira and Triple Lock. Is a Sean Kid Kamig Fianna Fáil agus ag Fianna Gael, hon Jerry Hurlin Yodart Milita and the Tirishaw. Bartas Fad Wanihe agus Rahul Lebianta Fada Don Cheershaw. Agus Nihe Shaw Anam Lahal Lishan Slua Alyanunt. Is a Shaw Anam La Fanart Linar Principle. Taoiseach, this morning your government took the first dangerous steps in dismantling the triple lock. The proposal brought to Cabinet by Tánaiste Simon Harris paves the way for the deployment of Irish troops overseas without the mandate of the United Nations. This move represents the thin edge of the wedge in abandoning Ireland's long-standing policy of neutrality. It opens the door for future governments having absolute discretion to deploy Irish troops to all kinds of missions, whether major international conflicts, legally questionable peacekeeping missions or dangerous misadventures. And it comes on the same day that the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced a dramatic ramping up in the militarisation of Europe to spend a colossal €800 billion on rearming the European Union. The powers that be in the EU are cynically using the suffering and plight of the Ukrainian people to advance this dangerous agenda. It completely smashes the EU fiscal rules. So the rules can't be broken for spending for the social good, it can't be broken for housing, for healthcare or responding to our climate crisis, but they can be completely thrown out the window when it comes to spending on weapons. And that says it all. And it is against this backdrop, Taoiseach, that you move to unravel the triple lock. You've attempted to frame this move as a response to today's changing world. But this has been on the cards for a very long time. Dismantling Ireland's neutrality has been the aim of your partners in government for nearly 25 years. In 2003, Enda Kenny said, and I quote, "Like it or not, Ireland is no longer neutral and this is crunch time." That was when they were launching their document called Beyond Neutrality. They called for a move away from neutrality, and so today Fianna Gael calls the tune and now Fianna Fáil dances along. Taoiseach, Irish neutrality is based on a clear-sighted analysis of what role Ireland can best serve in the world. Removing the triple lock undermines the strong diplomatic influence that Ireland has established over many generations. A standing achieved not through military might or military alliance, but by way of a respected tradition of military neutrality and on the insistence of international law. Neutrality is the foundation upon which Ireland champions engagement, diplomacy and the primacy of human rights and the prevention and resolution of conflict through dialogue. Generations of Irish peacekeepers have built a proud reputation for their contribution to peacekeeping missions while wearing the blue helmet of the UN. The Irish people see the importance of our neutrality, Taoiseach. They value it, they cherish it, and rightly so. It has stood us in good stead. And polls of this weekend, if you just needed confirmation, have confirmed that neutrality commands the overwhelming support of the Irish people. There is absolutely no public appetite for a change in policy. Yet you propose to dismantle the triple lock, which is a key protection for neutrality. Taoiseach, you can't upend decades of successful Irish foreign policy without consulting the Irish people. So can I put it to you today, if you are so confident in your position of dismantling the triple lock and Irish neutrality, then why not put it to the people? Let's ask the people in a referendum whether they cherish neutrality or not. Let the people decide.
Thank you, Deputy Taoiseach.
Well, I do smile in the team in Echar Lesson, Tachte, Agus Kohaidehe, Nilen Wint, Egan Guinnessha, Talk Egan Wiltus, Agus. Or bolus Dave or no drocht miletoch. Nilen wint in Echer. Agus such an doing, on triple lach or where that tave. Agus as shohamach, not a vegan rachtiach treat nadala. Ben Muidne Iganis, Marle Kine Oyenevoging Ohev or Sidori. Thank you, Deputy, for raising this important issue. You will be aware that in my previous capacity as Minister for Foreign Affairs and Defence, I brought a member to government last year, I think it was in April, indicating and identifying the need for legislation and instructing my officials to draft legislation to replace the triple lock. You'll also recall that I established a very effective national consultative forum on international security policy and foreign policy, which your party opposed, which I could never comprehend why you were so opposed to a basic debate on fairly fundamental issues. And what emerged from that consultative forum, by the way, is that the Triple Lock had nothing to do with the perception of Ireland on the international stage as being an honest broker, as being a country that looks at issues through the lens of international humanitarian law, which we do. Generally, all of the contributors, and they were diverse, made the point that Ireland has been very active on the global situation, using the multilateral institutions very effectively. And also, we are generous in terms of our work through Irish aid and through development policy, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa and in other locations. And generally speaking, it has been an active conduct of foreign policy that has earned Ireland strong credentials. And we need to get rid of some of the mythology surrounding all of this that sometimes gets articulated by yourselves and others. In respect of the Triple Lock, I mean, it's very, very clear to us that in an exercise of sovereignty, it should be this Oireachtas that should decide primarily the peacekeeping missions that we send our military to, not Russia or not any other member of the Security Council. Russia should not have a veto. China should not have a veto. US should not have a veto over where we send our soldiers in the pursuit of peace. It's as simple as that. And we had, when we were on the Security Council some years back, there were many challenges in terms of our attempts to keep humanitarian corridors open, for example, in terms of northwest Syria, in terms of humanitarian corridor to Tigray in Ethiopia. Ireland fought very hard to keep those corridors open. When we sought a resolution linking climate and security, for example, at the Security Council, we made enormous progress in endeavouring to get such a resolution passed. And guess what? It was vetoed at the end of the day by Russia. So this is about ourselves exercising our own sovereignty in respect of participation in peacekeeping mission. And the geopolitical situation has changed. It's changed very, very dramatically. And we have no intention to abandon our policy of military non-alignment. We're not a member of NATO. We're militarily neutral. We've never been politically neutral, Deputy. Never. You may have been, but the state here has never been politically neutral. We're members of the European Union. We've been part of common security defence in the European Union from the very beginning. We never opted out. And in respect of President von der Leyen's contribution today, I think it's important to read it. There is a very fundamental and profound challenge facing Europe now.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
We can't put our heads in the sand and ignore that reality.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
And it will need increased military expenditure. There's no question but it will.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
Across Europe and indeed here.
Well, Taoiseach, at least Fine Gael are honest about their intentions. They have been for over 20 years. When they produced their document Beyond Neutrality in their effort to dismantle neutrality, you described it as an out-of-touch ideological obsession. Fianna Fáil, or Fine Gael in that policy document, described your approach and Fianna Fáil's approach as the nod and wink approach of signing up to initiatives and telling the Irish people that it's something else. So you've adopted the Fine Gael approach and they've adopted yours. A nod and the wink approach of trying to dupe the Irish people that this isn't about neutrality, that it's about vetoes, while at the same time pursuing your obsession of getting rid of the neutrality. And that's the reality of it. This is the first step, and let's be clear about it. Now, you should be honest with the Irish people. You should be clear about what this is all about. And you should do the honourable thing. I said to you, and I put it to you, if you genuinely believe that you're acting in the interests of the Irish people, then let the Irish people have their say. Let's have a referendum on Irish neutrality. Let's have the debate and let the people decide whether they cherish neutrality or whether they trust Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael with these decisions.
Thank you, Deputy.
I've heard you say that from time to time, Deputy, in terms of a referendum to insert into the Constitution a clause dealing with neutrality. You have never, ever published any suggested wording, any suggested definition. In respect of the type of, again, I didn't interrupt you, through the chair, didn't interrupt the Deputy. With respect, just, I'll show you. Here we go again. Here we go again. But just want to.
Deputy, let the Taoiseach
I've never
answer.
seen, and there's a reason I'm putting the question.
Please, Deputy, please let the Taoiseach answer. You've
I don't
made
think
your
there's any
point.
to answer anymore.
Thank you. We move now to Deputy Ivana Bacik of the Labour Party.